Most people ask me, DeAndre, what were some of the biggest takeaways you got when you studied with him? And what a common question that most people were asking me while I was studying under Bob. I studied under Bob Proctor for 2 years. Most people ask me, DeAndre, what were some of the biggest takeaways you got when you studied with him? And so that's going to be today's video. For many of you that are watching my call now, you're an entrepreneur, you're in network marketing, you're first generation entrepreneur, and you're having these mental battles, these mental struggles, and you're dealing day to day with the emotions of just maybe going full time, or maybe not knowing how to get the results, not knowing how to deal with social media, how to deal with when things go good or bad. And so simply understanding that the thing that's right in between your ears right here will make your life transition in such an easy way. And Bob dedicated over 60 years of his life to understanding this tool here. And so at the end of this call, you'll understand how to see it in your mind and then hold it in your hand. First concept, write this down. Have a goal, but not just that, have a goal card. You got to have a goal. Now, one of the things I'm looking at is how to actually, what problems are we solving here? So here is the problem that we're solving when we set a goal, is that we're going to have a sense of direction and focus in our life. So if you're waking up and maybe you're feeling like you're a little bit lost, maybe you don't know what direction to go, maybe you feel like maybe you don't feel a little motivated right now, or maybe you've plateaued. So when you have a goal, you're going to have a sense of direction and fulfillment. So what type of goal? We talked about having a C-type goal. Now, what is a C-type goal? A C-type goal is a fantasy. It's something that you want. And quite simply, it's something that you've never actually done before. For many of us, we want to have more money coming into our life. And I would say, great. If I was to give you $1, your wish has been fulfilled. You have made more money. That's the first thing you have to understand, is how much exactly do you want to earn? And when you get that number, write it on a card. Write down how much you truly want. What kind of lifestyle do you want to live? What kind of car would you drive? Where would you want to live? What kind of school would you want to put your kids through? How would you want to, what kind of house would you want to get your parents? All these different things you want to start to take into account. That way you can start to develop an image of what your mind would look like. All right, number 2. The concept of the stick figures. Now, what is this going to solve for you? When you get the stick figure, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to understand the difference between knowing and doing, and where you're getting your results from. Simple, but this concept will change your life. So let's talk about this top part here. This top part, we're going to call that the C. That C stands for conscious mind. That's your conscious mind. This bottom part stands for SC, subconscious mind, and this bottom part stands for B, body. And then what's going to happen here is we're going to have a little R out here that represents results. Okay, so stick with me here. I'm going to walk through each step of this. So let's go ahead and let's change the color here to blue so you know where I'm pointing at. All right, so we're going to start here. That's an arrow, family. So let's talk about the conscious mind really quick. The conscious mind is your thinking mind. Think of it as your intellectual mind. Think of it as the mind that you're using right now to watch me. It's the mind that we use to gather information, and it's the mind that we've been programmed our entire life to use, that we use throughout school, that said, go memorize this information from the book about history and the Alamo and Alaska and all the countries of the Roman Empire, or cities of the Roman Empire, right? All this information that was really good, but not really applicable to life. And then we would memorize all these different information. Then we would have something called a test at the end of the semester. And if you were good enough at memorizing that test and regurgitating that information, you would pass the class, you would move on. Do that for 12 years, and now you have a degree and you are deemed successful in society. But then that same person who was good at memorizing and regurgitating information would go on to the big world and not get results and not make money. Why is that? Because this part of the mind only controls 5% of your results. So the mind that we've been programmed to use our entire life of intellectual information gathering will only control about 5% of the results you will get in your life. Let R represent results. Results being however much money that you want to earn in this example. And then let's go ahead and let's talk about this beautiful thing here called the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is our emotional mind. Think of it as the spiritual part of you. It's the part that, quite frankly, gathers unconscious habits. Like right now, I don't know what you're doing, where you're at, but you're probably sitting in a way that you've been sitting habitually. This subconscious mind, by default, controls 95% of our results. Now, why is that? Habits are a thing that us humans started to gather to bring a lot of pressure off of the conscious mind. And what will happen is, another word for this is called muscle memory. Imagine if you had to learn English every day, or learn how to write again, or learn how to drive every single day. Your conscious mind would be so flooded with random information that it would not be able to progress and expand towards a worthy life, because you would have to relearn the same things day by day. And then we have the body. This body here is a mirror. It's a reflection of the ideas that are going on in the subconscious mind. So remember, we talked about these ideas of habits. Those habits are expressed through this thing called the body. So the body will always, write that down, always act in alignment with the images that you see here in the subconscious mind. And that word is action. It will always act in alignment with the habits that you have formed in the subconscious mind and have planted there. So here's a person that says, I want to earn $10,000 a month, right? They see it, they read a lot of books, they gather a lot of information, but then we're going to talk about number 3 here in a second. They run into something called the paradigm. It's like this part of their mind that says, you're not worth $10,000 a month. You're only worth $2,000 a month. And so no matter how much information this person gathers right here in the conscious mind, reading a lot of books, gathering a lot of information, nothing seems to change for this person because they always act in alignment with what? The conscious mind or the subconscious mind? The answer is the subconscious. So consciously, the person says, I want to earn $10,000 a month, but the subconscious says, not true. You're worth $2,000 a month. And so the actions will always align with the subconscious mind. Are you following me here? Which means that the results will equal to $2,000 a month in this example. All right, so let's move on to step number 3, the paradigm. Well, most importantly, the paradigm program. So what is the idea of a paradigm? A paradigm is a multitude of your habits. Think of it as your mental conditioning or your mental programming. The paradigm, when you understand this, what it will do is you will put energy into converting the program that you're running on rather than gaining information or massive action. Now, some of us have defaulted to taking massive action, right? We do a lot of stuff, posting a lot on social media, doing a lot of work, but not get a lot of results, right? And we feel like we're stuck. Or maybe you're on the other spectrum where you're gathering a lot of information and you feel like you're getting smart, but then you don't take action and you still don't get the results. Why? It's because that little thing that we like to call the paradigm program. So the paradigm resides within the subconscious mind. So remember earlier, we talked about this idea of the subconscious mind operating on unconscious habits. Well, let's just say one unconscious habit is you wake up at 9 a.m. right? You want to wake up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. so you can really get a good start to your day. But you always, no matter what, will wake up at between 9 and 11 a.m. and you can't seem to kick that habit. Well, that is an example of one habit. Well, now what happens if you take 100 of those habits? 200, 300, 500, 1,000, 2,000. What happens if you gather a bunch of these habits and form them up into one little ball? That is what we call a paradigm. It's a way in which you live your life or habits, unconscious habits, or your programming. So that will reside within the subconscious mind. It's a paradigm program. And I want you guys to be very mindful of that word here. It's a program. No matter what, you cannot operate outside of that program. And this is one of the biggest things that most people will have difficulty with, is that they will see, or they will try to install new habits. They'll try to install habits right here. Let's just say habit. Let H represent habit. So this person is trying to install a new habit in their conscious mind. So here they are. They said, I'm going to go to the gym. It is 2022. It is New Year's, and I'm going to form the habit of going to the gym. And see, we talked about earlier, remember when we talked about that example of having your dream car in your mind? You saw it in your mind. So that person can see themselves going to the gym, but then something happens. They might go for 2, 3, 4 days, and then they run up against a little roadblock. This roadblock is called their paradigm. It's the unconscious parts of them. So they can consciously, via willpower, try to plant this habit into their mind. They can see it, but eventually that willpower will always succumb to the program. However, you see yourself in your subconscious mind. This is why it's so key to understand the difference between the two. And so this person will always default to the habit that they have right there. Let that little red dot there represent the real true habit that says you don't go to the gym. And so then by February, people are not going to the gym and they succumb back to their old programming. And we can relate this to diets, how much money you have in your bank account, how much money you're earning right now. You have it's like a thermostat. This paradigm of yours is literally a thermostat programming that it's so hard to override because you didn't even know you had it. And so here we are, we go into business, you go into network marketing, you go into real estate, you go into sales, and you say, I want to earn more money. But then the habits that you have instilled or came into that business with are not habits that have set you up to earn the income that you want. So when you start to shift the paradigm and you get this in alignment, both on here at a conscious level, and you get the habit here at the paradigm level, and then you get it here at the body level, your results will then be in alignment with the new habit that you place. And that's when you're going to see an increase in your income. And here was the fourth thing that I learned from my mentor, the late great Bob Proctor, that changed my life. And it was the idea of studying every single day. Studying every single day for 1 hour. And that's something that I've made a habit. Study every single day. And here's an important thing. Here's a caveat in which I say study. I'm not saying gather information. I'm not saying sit there and read a bunch of books. I'm saying to study and master one thing. See, Bob said you got to use repetition. Repetition. Write that word down. Repetition. Repetition is the key to actually changing that paradigm. Repetition is how you actually change that paradigm. So when we were reading the same article over and over again, what we were doing is we were planting that understanding deep within our subconscious mind. So not only did we think about it on a conscious level, we thought about it at an unconscious level. We started to think and act like the person that we were studying. And when you start to think and act like the person that you're going to study, you will begin to produce the results that you want, or the results that are in alignment with the person that you study. All right, so let's talk about number 5. He taught us how to apply personal development. Guys, I remember before Bob, I was into personal development. That's why I knew about Bob. Right, but I was also learning from Tony Robbins, Ty Lopez, Sam Ovens, Napoleon Hill, Andrew Carnegie, or Dale Carnegie, all these different gurus. And I had all these books, but I was gathering a lot of information, and I might implement like a habit or two from a book, but then knowing the paradigm, I would default back. And 6 months later, if you were to ask me what information or changes I got from that book, I really didn't have any changes. I may have remembered a couple tactics here or there, but the actionable changes, I didn't really have it. But what Bob took 60 years of information gathering, and he taught us how to apply it. Because Bob taught me step 1, goal. Step number 2, paradigm. Step number 3, boom, 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 boom. So at the end of a couple months, it's like everything started to change for me. What happened was Bob took all of this random information and he applied it to a specific goal for us. He took information, taught us how to apply it, and taught us how to grow our income, be happier, have more direction, have more purpose, have more fun, be a better person, leave people with the impression of increase, have better leadership, all these different concepts, but with a means to an end, with something specific, so that we could walk away with tangible results. Imagine if for every book that you read, you walked away with an extra 1, 2, 3, $4,000 or $5,000 a month plus in your income. Think about that. How many books would you read that for every book that you read, you got an extra $1,000 per month to your income? Now, if it was that easy, everybody would do it. And see, that's the hardest part, is how do you actually take this information and actually apply it and make money, have purpose, have directions, and all the benefits that we mentioned earlier. And that's where Bob came in and made the biggest difference for us.